Okay, perfect. So, and it's going live to MyFitnessPal. Perfect. And then let me just make sure here. Good, cool. I can see myself live. Got you going here. All right, Miss Suzette. So I'm going to put you on mute right now. And if you have any questions, just unmute yourself, please.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So we're going to share. All right, everyone. So you guys should be able to see my screen here. What we're going to be talking about today is talking about everything MyFitnessPal. And the reason why MyFitnessPal is going to be super, super powerful. So when it comes down with MyFitnessPal really, in general and in essence, it is a tool to help calculate how many calories that you're having. Now, why is this tool super important? Okay, going a little track here. So what is MyFitnessPal? Way to track calories. It's important because it is the most accurate way for you to track your results. The best way that I put it is that as your coaches, we are scientists. And when it comes down to science, what we do is we implement, and then we track, and then we look at the results, and then we change the plan. Simple as that. So that's exactly what MyFitnessPal does for us, is that what we want to do is we want to track your results, how much weight you're losing, how much body fat you're losing. And the way we track that is by utilizing some data. And MyFitnessPal is a great tool for that because it will track and it'll put data to support your actions. And whatever your actions are, that's ultimately going to determine what your results are. And we want to make sure that these results are on a repeatable process, okay? And it's really important that you have these results and then they're accurate, okay? Some of the pros with MyFitnessPal, it is the most accurate nutrition plan that is out there, bar none. Simple as that. Unless it is also the most flexible as well too. Unless we give you an exact plan in terms of what to eat, how much to eat, and then that we do have those nutrition plans. But MyFitnessPal, what it does, it really dives down deep in terms of the food, helps you get to know what types of foods that you're having, the caloric impact that that type of food is having, as well as even bad food as well too. And that's the thing with MyFitnessPal is that you can have bad food on it, but you need to stick within your caloric ranges, and which we'll talk about that here. Some of the cons. The big con with this is that it's a pain in the butt to input all your stuff. But once you get used to it, and once you start learning how to use it, in which I'm going to show you some tips and tricks with that, it becomes pretty easy. And for me, it really helps myself out in terms of the accountability aspect. Even as coaches, we do need accountability, and MyFitnessPal actually helps out with that. I'll give you some examples here. So what does it track? It tracks everything. It's a pretty powerful tool. It tracks your vitamins, your minerals, all of that fun stuff. And what the big important thing is not to worry so much about some of the recommendations that they have, which we'll go into it a little bit more, because when you input all your information, it's going to give you, oh, you should be eating this much amount of calories, and you should be inputting your exercise and things like that. I like to keep things very simple, and the only things that I would like for you to worry about so much is just the carbs, the proteins, the amount of fat, and your calories. Those are the big three or four things that we need to worry about. Little background with the nutrition piece. Carbs have calories, protein has calories, fat has calories, as well as alcohol. Alcohol has calories as well too. It'll also track your alcohol. So when it comes down with alcohol, alcohol does have 7 calories per gram, okay? And that's why alcohol, in essence, when people say, oh, I just had a shot, so it doesn't really count as anything, alcohol does count as something. It counts almost as much as fat does, okay? That is the problem with alcohol, is that it does have calories and they do add up right away, because especially if you're drinking them. So these are the big things that have the calories. That is what MyFitnessPal is going to utilize is track of. Okay. So how to track? Most importantly, what we want to do when it comes down with MyFitnessPal, there's going to be 2 interlocking circles in order for MyFitnessPal plan to work. Those interlocking circles are really simple. The very first interlocking circle is just making sure that whatever you input it is correct, okay? There's a lot of times in which I'll have clients, they'll start off with MyFitnessPal, and they'll be inputting the food, and it might be the right types of food, but the thing is that it could be also the wrong amount. So then we're getting different numbers. And everyone knows that if you have been a scientist or anything like that, or engineering, if you're getting bad stats and statistics, then your decisions based on those stats are going to be off. So then that could be off. So the best way to track it is to get a food scale, and you track everything in grams. The most important thing when it comes down to tracking in grams and using a food scale is how to track and how to input it, which I'm going to show you how to do that on my own personal fitness pal. Okay, but when you track it, utilize a food scale. Measure everything in grams. You put your plate on there, then you put your food in there, and then what you'll do is you'll put your other food in there, or your carbs, your proteins, and your fats, and then you log it in as such. The one thing with MyFitnessPal that is going to work really well is that if you use single ingredient foods, and that's how you get really accurate results. What I mean by single ingredient foods is that it's really hard to track something like a soup. It's really hard to track something like pho, or like a dish that has a lot of ingredients in it. So when it comes down to it, what we want to do is break those ingredients up into single ingredients foods. That way you can measure it easier. Once you measure everything out, then you can mix it up however the heck you want. But the best way to do it is to break it down into single ingredient foods. Those single ingredient foods are really simple, like your proteins, then you got your carb, and then you got your fats. All of our clients that do have nutrition plans, they'll have a food list with all of those things. You just basically combine those foods however you want, but just measure those foods singly, and then you mix them all together. So that way we have everything. So that's why we want to make sure it's accurate, using the food scale to make sure everything is accurate. Try not to eat out as much. Eating out will definitely mix your results. Even though if you go to Chili's or something like that, and then they have the amount of calories that are in that dish, not every cook is going to be cooking the same way. When they pour that olive oil into that pan, there's going to be a difference between 1 second versus 5 or 6 seconds, okay? Those 5 or 6 seconds could be a difference between 300 to 400 calories, which is going to be an entire meal. And that's why when it comes down with fats, they have a lot of calories per the composition. And that's why when you do go out to eat, you don't know what the cooks are doing. So sometimes it can be a little bit off when you are going out to eat. So that's why I always have our clients just try to have that item, put that in there, and then try to measure just a little bit more. So I rather have you be, I rather have the results measure a little bit over, when in reality it might be under, as opposed to the other way around. Okay. Try not to eat out as much. Measurements you put in order for us to make educated decisions. So, so you put in order for us to make educated. So when it comes down with your measurements and everything, like I said, just make sure that everything is all measured out in grams and stuff like that. So, all right, what to look for. So calories and macros, these are going to be pretty consistent. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to share with you my personal fitness pal, and then I'll share with you my progress thus far, just to kind of give you a background. When at the very beginning of the year, this is me being open and honest, and don't harpoon me or anything, but at the very beginning of the year, I weighed in about 275. This is, we went to New Orleans. And when you're in New Orleans, you have New Orleans food. And I had a lot of New Orleans food, and I had a lot of New Orleans type of drinks and all sorts of fun stuff. And I actually came back at 275, 272. That was probably the heaviest that I've weighed in quite a while. Got a fitness coach myself, got a nutritionist. And then between January and now, I'm weighing about between 220 and 223 right now. So I lost about 50 pounds, about 50, 45 pounds altogether. And all I did was just track my calories over the whole entire course. And I'm going to share with you the big things that I've learned, even personal experience as well as professional experience of what I experienced, okay, of what to do. So when we're looking at our calories here, just really quick, I started using our new app with the Trainerize app when we got it. So you'll see that my results are actually starting in May. That's when we actually started utilizing this app. And then you'll definitely see my measurements definitely going up and down. When it comes down to weight loss, weight results are always never going to be linear, okay? You're going to be, and this is me weighing in on a day-to-day basis, okay? You could imagine frustrations when you're weighing 240, then 237, then back to 241, things like that. Your weight is going to fluctuate like that, okay? That is always going to be a given as well too. When you go out and you cheat, you can tell that I probably went out of town somewhere around July 7th, and I probably ate quite a bit more than what I should have, shooting from 234 to 238. you will gain some weight. You will have to make adjustments when it comes down to if you are going out, and you got to like weigh out the measurements and the repercussions when it comes down with that. Okay. So if you want to go out and overeat, just know, so you know, you will gain a little bit of weight when you do come back. Okay. For myself, it was about 4 or 5 pounds. So just keep that in mind. All right. Whenever you're doing that. But what I wanted to do without going too far off track is just share with you my caloric intake. And then what we're going to look at it, and this is over the course of this past month. So when we're looking at this, is that these are my caloric goals. Okay, my caloric goals are set about 1600 right now, and then I just have a protein goal right now. So my protein goal is about 160, I believe. Yes. And when it comes down with my protein goal and my calories, the big thing when it comes down with calories is that you don't want to have ups and downs. Okay. If you eat too low, like if you eat below, let me see here, where is my annotation player? Hiding behind my little screen. So, so the way it works is that if you eat below this line, and that means that more than likely you're not going to be losing weight, because your body likes a nice gray area. If you eat too low in calories, you're not going to lose weight because you're going to be burning muscle. The more muscle you're burning, your body's going to get rid of that muscle because it can't support it, because it doesn't have enough vitamins, minerals, nutrients in order to support that muscle. And when you decrease your muscle mass, then all of a sudden your metabolism starts to decrease, and your ability to burn as much calories is not going to be as much as if you had a lot more muscle. When it comes down to eating too much over your calories, obviously that's going to be a given. You eat too much, then your body's going to start storing fat and start gaining weight. So that's why there is a gray area. This is a nice gray area to where that I have, and I don't go over 1600 calories, and I try not to go under 1400 calories. Okay. So we want to stick within that nice gray area, and we want to stick with that on a consistent basis. You'll see that this weekend I was out of town, and I just made those conscious decisions that I'm going to overeat, and that was fine. I overate, and I suffered the repercussions of that. I was down at 220, got back up to 226. But the most important thing that I got out of that trip was I kept track of my calories. You see my calories and everything like that. And the aspect, what it really helped me out was I didn't go over as much as I would. Normally, if I were to go out of town, I could eat. I'm a really big boy. I always grew up as a big kid, and I would probably eat anywhere from 3,500 to 4,000 calories, and I would have came back not 6 pounds heavier, but I would have came back probably about 10 or 12 pounds heavier, which I did when I went to New Orleans. I had no holds bars when I went to New Orleans. I enjoyed their food, enjoyed their drinks, and I came back about 10, 12 pounds heavier. Just so you know, that's why I like tracking my calories, especially when I'm out of town, because then I could see how much over, and that still helps me limit that. So it's nice to have those limits even when you are out of town as well too. So, so when it comes down to it, is that we want to make sure that our calories are consistent. We want to make sure that our calories are well within that range, and we want to make sure that it is accurate as well too. All right. And you see exactly what's going on here. Everything is on a consistent basis. There's no peaks, there's no highs, or there's lows. There's the ones that are in blue that are the highs, and those are specific days, like on a Friday night, Saturday night, when decided to overeat or something like that. So just also keep that in mind as well too, is that if you guys do go over in calories or anything along those lines on the weekend, what you could do is I'll show you a good example for that one. It's going to be right here. I normally don't do this when I come back. I don't like to go back to a low calorie, but with this one, you'll see 2,600 calories. If I wanted to try to make that up, I would have probably tried to drop my calories down instead of 1,600. I would have probably tried to drop them down to like 1,400 or 1,300 for that day. Because in a given week, we want to take that average, and we want to make sure that that average still falls within that line. So if you go high, you should go low the very next day, especially when you're, you want to try to keep continuously losing weight. But if at all anything, then I suggest just continue moving forward with the path. very next day, I hit my calorie mark and everything was fine and dandy. And then I kept going on the weight loss aspect of it. So that's what you want to do when it comes down with calories, is just make sure it's consistent. If you do cheat and you want to try to make it up for as many calories as you go over, is as many calories as you go under the very next day. Okay. But just heed some warning with that, is that the last thing that I want you to do is go under in calories and feel deprived, and then that pushes you to eat more the very next day. So I rather just sometimes just have you just go right back on track and just keep it as consistent as possible. And that's exactly what I did when I got back from out of town, when we were in Santa Fe. 2,100 calories. The very next day, I dropped my calories down a little bit, 1,192, and I went back up. So went back up to my 1,500 calories and started doing that. So that's going to be the biggest thing when it comes down with your caloric. So making sure that the calories are consistent on a consistent basis, making sure that you're entering single ingredient foods, making sure that those single ingredient foods you're measuring on a food scale, which makes it really nice. When you are measuring your foods out, a lot of times people will like to have the same thing every single day. Go. So looking at this is, let's say for instance with breakfast, you'll see that with breakfast, I normally don't eat breakfast. I just put all my food into like one of those meals. So with breakfast, it was actually more like lunch. So I had blueberries, I had non-fat Greek yogurt, and then I had some thin crackers, and then grilled chicken. If I wanted to make that meal on a consistent basis and have that on a consistency, what we'll do is not go to quick foods. Sorry about that. That's the wrong one. So you go to quick tools, and then you'll see here, you could actually copy this entire meal, and then you could just go from here and it says copy from date, copy to today, or copy to a specific date. So whatever that you make on one specific day, and if you eat that consistently, or if you have one same meal and you have that on a consistent basis, you could just cut and copy that onto your MyFitnessPal, so that way you're not, always entering in the foods or anything like that as well. The other thing that I want to suggest as well is that whenever we do intake food, or whenever we input food, should I say, and you're entering things in grams, sometimes it could be a pain in the butt. One of the cool things that I got from our nutritional coaches is that you could actually type in things, let's say chicken, and then you could type in grams. So if I put chicken and grams at the end of it, that's going to find the food that you're going to need, and it's going to find it in the grams that you want to do with that. And let's say if I wanted to do fruit and grams, fruit, grams, you'll go there, you'll find fruit, and then you'll see some different types of fruit, mango, strawberries. You can do mixed fruit, anything along those lines, fruit, blueberries, measured out in grams. And what you're going to learn from that, and when you measure things out in grams, you're going to learn what's going to have the most amount of food for the little amounts of calories that we do have. And the best thing that I could tell you when it comes down to the amounts of food and the calories is that if you feel like you're not eating enough, and if you feel constantly hungry, even when you are hitting your calorie goals, then the best thing that you could do is opt for foods that are going to have a lot of composition for a little bit of calories. Some of those foods that I like, we'll just go to my database here. I like usually egg whites. Egg whites are really good. Let's go to my food diary. Egg whites are really good. Squash is really good. Cauliflower, any vegetables are awesome. I'm especially fond of squash, mainly because I have squash growing in the backyard, and you get a lot of squash for a little bit amount. And one of my coaches, he makes these huge, ginormous bowls, and it's just filled with squash, chicken, spinach. He does a spray saute. When you do a spray, it has 0 calories versus if you just do olive oil, which that's going to have a lot of calories, especially if it's a 1 pour, 2 pours, or like a 3 pour, then the calories start to add up. Okay. So that's going to be the thing when it comes down with entering your foods in, and then trying to find those foods that have a lot of composition for a little bit amount of calories that you have. Okay. Because my big thing is that I like to go to bed with a full stomach. That's just something, you know, growing up as a fat kid, I always loved to do that. I always got thirds and fourths when it came to dinner. That's probably why I was overweight for quite a bit. And that is the reason why I was overweight as a kid. But as I got into fitness and nutrition, then you start to learn a lot more about food and nutrition and about yourself. And most importantly, you know, there was a lot of emotional connection when it comes down with eating. And I know a lot of our clients can definitely relate to that. And if you still have that emotional condition or emotional connection, you just got to trick it in a way. So a lot of the things that I like to do is like sometimes I like sweets. So I'll mix non-fat Greek yogurt with Walden Farms chocolate syrup. Tons of protein in there. I could have probably 400 or 500 grams of non-fat Greek yogurt. Let's see right here. I think I ate that yesterday. Yeah, had 150 grams and it was only 97 calories. And it has 15 grams of protein in there. And 150 grams is quite a bit. And I believe 150 grams is almost like a cup to about 3/4 of a cup. And it's a lot of composition. Mix that in with 100 grams of blueberries. And that is 1 cup of blueberries. And it only has 57 calories. Fruit is something that doesn't have a lot of calories in it and has some really good carbohydrates, so which is really awesome. Leaner cuts of protein, chicken, turkey are always really great as well too. And when you're looking for, when you're looking for different types of like proteins and stuff, really try to limit the amount of calories or limit the amount of fat. Usually where proteins get their bad rap from is just the amount of fat. So opt for chicken, turkey, anything that's going to be white meat. That's usually the less amount of fat that we have. Let's see here. I want to move this out of the way and I want to make this bigger and I'm looking at this. Okay, so let's take a look at the progress here. I just wanted to make sure that we're going over everything when it comes down with MyFitnessPal. I'm trying to think of some other stuff that I could tell you with MyFitnessPal. Were there any questions or anything like that that anyone is struggling with? Suzette, I know you're on the call. I'm going to unmute you right now. Did you have any questions when it came down with MyFitnessPal or anything like that? Oop. Unmute. Hey, Suzette, if you're there.
Hi, I'm here. I'm sorry. I muted, you unmuted me and then I muted myself.
That's funny.
So would you recommend using the app or on your computer? Because it looks like you're able to do some things on the computer that I have not been able to find on the app using my phone.
Got it. They are in the app. A lot of these tools are in the app. I know like with the quick tools and stuff, sometimes I like utilizing the app. A lot of my information here, I input it on my app, mainly because I have my phone on me majority of the time. So if I'm like out, like yesterday, we had a volleyball game. So, and then I had a White Claw, I had some naked chicken wings, and then I also had a buffalo burger that was just wrapped in lettuce wrap. So when I was there, I wanted to make sure that I had enough calories for that meal. So what I like to do is I'll have my phone and I'll input it in there to make sure it adds up with my numbers. And then I was able to enjoy my food knowing that everything all added up before I had it. The app is really nice and convenient because when you're there, you're able to do it, especially right then and there. If you're the type of person that likes to plan everything ahead and likes to do that, then I probably suggest doing it on the computer. Then you're able just to kind of copy everything out. One of the best things that you can do is future planning, is that if we've given you the right amount of calories, and then we've also given you like a recommended amount of protein, then go into a future date and start inputting what you plan on having. And then once you input what you plan on having, then all you have to do the very next day is just execute that plan. Simple as that. And that's why whenever you're in a weight loss mode, sometimes it's a lot easier when you just make those meals, those same consistent meals on a consistent basis. That way things become easier. That way things become a lot less trying to figure out the numbers. And if you have a perfect day in terms of calories, protein, carbs, and fat, and you're happy with that in terms of eating and being satisfied with that, then just make that for the rest of the entire week. Just make that consistent. And then on the weekends, then you could kind of explore, kind of go out. But the cool thing when it comes down with calories that I like to say is that as long as you're inputting your calories and hitting your numbers, even if it is a bad type of food, like what I did yesterday, I know chicken wings are not on my plan. They're not on my food list, but I just really wanted some chicken wings. So I found some chicken wings that were on the menu, naked chicken wings. They weren't deep fried. I think they were just grilled and didn't have any sauces on it. So I just ordered them with the sauce on the side and they fit within my numbers. So, and that worked out great. It was awesome because the 6 pounds that I gained over the weekend, I went back on track and I'm already down those 3. So I'm already down to 223. My goal is to get down to 220 right now, to 219, and then just kind of see where I'm at right there. So does that answer your question, Suzette?
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, no problem. Do you have any other questions or anything like that?
Do you recommend, we had a chat earlier today and I told you that I was out of town for 3 days. And so I didn't have a signal where I was. Do you recommend that we keep a journal and try to catch up so that we can accurately track what we're eating and how it affects us? Or is it a big deal if you can't log things for 3 days?
If you're not able to log things in for 3 days, I find that in the situations where, like, if I do go camping and I'm not able to log it, and you're not able to log it, then I completely get it and I understand, like if you're in a camping situation. But if you're in those situations, you just have to be extra aware of what you're having and what you're doing. So then what I like to do is I usually just limit my meals up. And what I mean by that is sometimes I'll either just skip breakfast and just have my lunch and dinner. And then if dinner is going to be something in which it's going to be like outside my meal plan, then I try to just skip that one meal and save my calories for the later meal. The other thing too is that if you are going to be in those situations, just prepare yourself. Pack foods that are going to be really nutrient dense and not very many calories in it as well too. So then just making sure that you're having your vegetables, you're bringing egg whites and squash and a lot of those types of foods. So that would be my suggestion. If you really want to be diligent, then I would suggest doing a food journal and then inputting it later, or just try to future plan some of those meals that you're going to be having at the campsite prior to that. And then that way, whenever you are in there, all you have to do is like, cool, awesome. I already planned my meals out. So I know that, oh, cool, I'm going to have a steak and then I'm going to have, whatever, beans or whatever that you have here in a camp. And then from there, you can go, and then from there, you just execute. Simple as that. So.
Thank you.
Hey, not to worry. Any other questions that I could help you out with?
I don't have anything. I really enjoy the app. It's really helpful. And I ordered a scale from Amazon so that I could start weighing food in grams. So we'll see how that changes my opinion of healthy portions.
Sounds good. My battery's just about to go out. So if everything kind of falls apart here, because I don't want to run out and get it, just let you know that my battery's about to die. But just really quickly, on that instance, I know that I was talking with another client and, for the first week, she wasn't losing weight. She was keeping track of her calories. And then I asked her, I was like, are you accurately measuring your calories through grams? And then she's like, no, I'm not. So I'm like, okay. So what I told her was do that. As soon as you do that, then we could kind of go back to your numbers and then I could dictate if we need to change the numbers or not. But for the first thing, I need to get accurate numbers. She started doing that, lost 3 pounds. And just from that one little thing is, you're keeping track of it, but we want to make sure that those numbers are accurate. And you'll be very surprised when you start weighing and measuring things out that how much or how little you're going to be getting. Yeah. So it makes a really big difference.
I'm a little scared.
I think you should be okay. Sometimes the truth is revealing and it'll be okay. So, all right. All right, so my computer is telling me it's about time. So you guys, if you guys enjoyed this lecture and if you guys want to see some more, and if you guys want to see some different topics and stuff, just shoot me a comment, throw something out on Facebook. Let me know what you guys want to hear next. This is fun for me. I like it. This is actually really, really cool. I always wanted to be a teacher when I grew up, so I feel like this is my little calling there. And then tomorrow I'm going to be on at 10:30, so we'll be discussing the same thing as well too. So for those of you that are catching this recording and you want to kind of get some live interaction or like some live help or just ask those questions, then hop in tomorrow at 10:30. Cool.
Thanks, Louise.
Hey, you're very welcome, Suzette. Great talking with you guys. And everybody on Facebook land that's tuned in, great talking with you guys. And I'll be on tomorrow at 10:30. All right. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.